Hiya fishy folks, and welcome back to Michael's Fish Room. Today, the top 10 guppy questions I see on social media. Grab yourself a healthy snack and beverage and stand by. Welcome back, fishy folks. Today, the top 10 questions about guppies I see on social media. Now, most of these questions can easily be answered with a Google search, but that's too difficult for people, so they ask on Facebook or other social media outlets. And I guess if you don't know anything about guppies, these questions seem like they're the most important and hard to get the answer to, but really most of them are pretty simple. So without further ado, in no particular order, here are the top 10 questions I see on social media. The first one is my guppy pregnant? And the simple answer is, if your female guppy has been in a tank with a male, yes, it's pregnant. That's just what they do. They reproduce like rabbits. Their whole purpose in life is to make babies. And that's fine for me because I like breeding guppies and selling the babies for money, so that's okay. Now, the next question that I see is, when will my guppy give birth? And these two questions sort of are related in that if your guppy is pregnant, obviously you want to know when it's going to give birth, but without real other knowledge about the situation, it's impossible. I see many people go, oh, well, the pregnancy patch, no, the dark spot, the gravid spot, I just call it a pregnancy patch. That is, 13 shades of brown, so it'll be in 3 to 6 days. It's really impossible to tell unless you know the exact day that guppy gave birth before. It's roughly every 28 days, roughly. It could be sooner, it could be later, it could be she decides to absorb the fry again because of stress. Roughly every 28 days, okay? That's pretty much it. Now, is my guppy pregnant? That question can be answered by looking at the guppy, seeing how the gravid spot is, seeing what color it is, and so on and so forth. So those questions go hand in hand. I see them all the time, and really it's impossible to know when your guppy is going to give birth without knowing the day that it gave birth before. So an educated guess, sure. Based on her size, sure. I don't know how you can do that without knowing the guppy. Like if I have a breeder guppy and I know how big she normally is, and I know that she drops fry every 28 to 30 days, I can kind of gauge when she'll drop again. But with just that picture and nothing else, anyone that says, oh, I think 3 to 4 days, it's a complete guess. That's it. All right. Question, and I'm cheating because I wrote them down. So, question 3. Is my guppy male or female? This is like the easiest question to answer. You just have to Google, what does a boy guppy look like? And it'll show you the little thingy thing. So, it's real easy. A female guppy, and most female live bearers, their anal fin is shaped like a triangle. Just like on a person, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, the male is pointy. Again, just like a person, if you know what I'm saying. Okay? Here's pictures. It's pretty easy. Now, sometimes the male will, and the female, they'll like, instead of, they'll be up against the belly and not down doing their thingy thing. So you might have to watch, make sure they're not stressed, pretend like you're not watching, and then they'll show you boy or girl. So pretty easy, if you ask me. This question bugs the ever-living bejesus out of me. What kind of guppy is this? And they'll show you like a bland female. I don't know, it could be any one of 1,000 different strains. The other question that goes along with this is, these were in a tank marked fancy guppies. What kind of guppy is it? It's a mutt. It's a fancy guppy. That's what it is. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if you want to try to breed out specific traits, you can with some knowledge and patience. But if you're asking what kind of guppy it is, you probably don't have said knowledge or said patience. So, you know, almost every guppy that you buy in a big box store is a mutt or has been with other mutts. So breeding true probably won't happen for the most part. That said, if you buy a guppy from a breeder or, you know, a fish store that kind of specializes in guppies, you have a much better chance of getting an actual strain than not. So if you're not sure what your guppy is, most likely it's a mutt. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. Mutts are my favorite guppies of all time because of the color and variety and so on and so forth. You know the deal. All right. Number 5. When is it safe to add my fry back to the tank? Well, first of all, I don't know why you removed the fry, but if you did, if you removed the mom, put her in a breeder box or a separate tank, she dropped fry, and now you want to put them back in your main tank without them being eaten, it's a simple answer. When they're big enough not to fit in the smallest guppy's mouth that's already in that tank, because guppy fry are tender and delicious. So bigger guppies want to eat them because, again, tender and delicious. And so you have to make sure those little itty bitty fry don't fit in the mouth of any guppy that's in the main tank or whatever tank you're putting them back into. So that's when, but I don't remove guppies when they're pregnant unless I'm trying to start a new tank. Then I'll put the female in a different tank and let her drop her fry, and then I'll put the female back in her main tank, and that'll be a second breeding tank. That's how I do it, because it's easier than me trying to catch little fries. So yeah, I don't typically move fry or move pregnant moms. Like I said, I use my method of community breeding, which link up here for that video. Why are my guppies dying? Or I just got 5 guppies from PetSmart. I put them in my tank and they died the next day. Why? I don't know. How about some information? What are your water parameters? Is the tank cycled? What else is in the tank? Did you quarantine them? Where did you buy them? How did you quarantine them? I mean, so many questions need to be answered. A picture actually is the best, I think, plus the water parameters. But that is such an open-ended, vague question. Like, I don't even know how you could think you could get an answer to that question without more information. My guppy died. Why? Because you suck as a fish keeper. That's why. How do you want me to answer that? It blows my mind that people think this much information will give you an answer. It's just dumb. Dumb, I tell you. This one kind of goes along with the last question. My guppies are dying. Why? But my guppy's not moving. What's wrong? And this actually came from a person. And the example they gave was a picture of a guppy with like fungus all over it, and it's been dead for like 3 days. So my guppy's not moving. Why? Well, it's probably dead. That's why it's not moving, because dead guppies don't move. So that's, yeah. Sorry, that was kind of a joke, but yeah, it's there. Number 8, are guppies easy to breed? Yes. Some people say all you need is a boy, a girl, and water, and they'll breed. And that's true to some extent. But to get the most out of your breeding, you know, you're going to want breeding for profit setup is what I call it. And I'll link my breeding for profit guppy video. It's actually the most watched video on my channel. So I appreciate that from you guys. But yeah, guppies are fairly easy to breed, especially mutts. If you're looking to breed specific strains, it's a little bit more difficult because there's culling involved. There's knowing what traits you want to, you know, try to remove or you can leave in. You know, as an example, if you have blue guppies and one of them pops something red out, you're going to want to get that red one out right away because red is the dominant color of that genetic makeup. So, however, if you have a blue guppy and, you know, blue guppies and it pops out something with a slightly different tail, that's going to be not dominant. It's going to be recessive. So you probably want to pull it out anyway. But if you miss it, it's not as big a deal as if it was red. So it's a little genetic knowledge there for you. I have very little genetic knowledge about guppies. So, in fact, I kind of make everything up as I go along. No, just kidding. Number 9. Do guppies do well with this fish? You know, and input whatever fish are. Angels, Oscars, Jack Dempsey's, Frontosas. You know, any big predatory fish. Do guppies do well with them? No. They'll be a snack within seconds. Can I put guppies with flower horns? You can if you want your flower horn to eat well, sure. A very good rule of thumb when it comes to guppies, and actually any fish, is if the smaller fish fits in the bigger fish's mouth, eventually it's going to get there. And that goes for every fish. You know, I've heard people say, oh, well, you know, my betta has grown up with guppies and they're fine. Not until one of those guppies, you know, looks like food, or the tail is like, and the betta wants to, and then, yeah, somebody's ripped to shreds and you don't know why. It's because, yes, they lived together happily for a year and then something happened called nature. That's what happens. All right. Number 10, and you guys ask me this question all the time in live streams. What's your favorite guppy? And this isn't a question from Facebook or social media. It's just a question that I personally don't really like to answer because it's hard to answer. I haven't seen every guppy in the world. You know what I mean? I love mutts, and I love mutts because of the variety. You know, if you put in my mutt tank, I usually put, when I get new strains, I usually put a guppy from that strain, be it a male or a female. It's a cull. I have an extra one, and I do that to keep the genetics up to date, you know, new and fresh. And the variety that comes out is just amazing, and that's what I really like to see. But as far as my favorite, you know, strain ever, it's always changing. Right now, it's these purple dragons or the Japan blue tails. These right here. I just love the color. And the big delta tail, which, by the way, these are available now on my website, michaelsfishroom.com, as are almost all of the guppies from the last wholesale order, which, by the way, I'm getting another wholesale order this weekend with even more spectacular strains. So those are my top 10 questions answered from social media. If you have a question that you know of that you didn't hear on this video, why don't you go ahead and leave it in the comments below, and I'll do a follow-up video in a couple months to this one. So, guys, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really means a lot to me. And, of course, hitting that notification bell. And as I said, check out my website, michaelsfishroom.com, for guppies and plecos. Have a great day. Without further ado, in no particular order, top 10 questions asked on social media. All right, fishy folks, welcome back. Today we're going to be, no, I'm not.